This video contains a few spoilers about the major plot to Fallout 4, so if you haven't gotten that far yet, you may want to turn back now. After attending the council meeting where Father makes the sole survivor the director of the Institute, we can go to Dr. Ayo, who tells us that he suspects that someone from inside the Institute is helping Synths escape. He thinks that it's likely Alan Benet.
Justin Ayo thinks you're helping Synths escape. I need to know the truth.
I see. The man does not lack for tenacity. He is, however, completely wrong about me. Ayo and his coarser goons have already scoured my laboratory for evidence. Feel free to do the same if you think you must. If there's something specific you want to ask me, then get on with it.
Why would Ayo think you were helping Synths?
He probably thinks my admiration for the synths might have caused me to have some delusion about setting them free. The notion is preposterous. The last thing I'd want to do is banish a synth to the surface. It's a living hell up there. That's not freedom. It's a death sentence. I would never be so cruel.
How many Synths have escaped?
I'm not sure of the exact number, but I can tell you the rate of escapes has accelerated greatly in recent months.
Does anyone else have access to your terminals?
Unlikely. I don't let anyone else lay a finger on my terminals without my close supervision. I'll make an exception in your case, however. If Father trusts you, then I have no reason not to.
Alan Benet works in the robotics division of the Institute. He's responsible for keeping the synth production line going, and he continually optimizes synths. He's the one who tells us that he's observed rapid eye movement in synths while they sleep. It's Alan Benet who thinks that because of this, they can dream. To conduct our investigation, we have to go to the private quarters of Alan Benet and his son, Liam Benet. Liam Benet is the only member of the Institute who says publicly that he believes that synths are no different from people.
Why can't a synth be a person too? I don't really see the difference.
But the Institute tolerates Liam Benet's crazy ideas about synth people. After all, he's young and brilliant, and these synth sympathies may come from his unique living arrangements at home, because Alan and Liam Benet are the only members of the Institute to keep a personal synth. When we visit their quarters, we find a female synth named Eve.
As the Institute's first personal synth, I try to set a good example.
What's a personal synth?
Dr. Benet is carrying out a social experiment. He wants to see if a synth can integrate into a human family. I know I can never replace his wife or be a real mother to Liam, but I can at least help with the domestic duties. I like to think I'm a pretty good cook.
It won't change anything. You are what you are. A machine made to serve people.
I know that's factually true, but sometimes I hope I can be more than that.
I think that's admirable.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear you say so. It was a real pleasure to meet you. I'm sure you're still taking everything in, so I'll let you get back to that.
Eve.
Even though I'm a synth, Alan and Liam have made me feel like a part of their family. I must be the luckiest synth in the Institute.
Despite realizing that she's just a manufactured being, she still expresses hope that someday the Institute will consider her to be much more than that. She feels fortunate with her unique role at the Institute, and she has a lot of gratitude towards Alan and Liam. She's fully embraced her role as the Benet personal synth, and she often treats young Liam in almost a motherly way. She takes messages for him from his friends.
Liam, I forgot to tell you, your friend Brendan came by looking for you.
Thanks. Did he say why?
He mentioned something about studying and then said a lot of scientific words, but I don't think he knew what they meant.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'll go find him later. Thanks, Eve.
And she expresses pride in his scientific aptitude.
Every day, Liam finds some new way to impress us. He's incredibly bright for his age.
Liam Benet may have developed his unique ideas about synth personhood after spending such close time with Eve in his home with his father Alan. Maybe watching her become motherly towards him is the very thing that gave him the idea that synths might have souls. The nature of this domestic relationship is extremely odd in the Institute, and frankly it's surprising. Every member of the Institute whom we meet, from the director to the coursers, treats synths like property. and they emphasize this over and over again. I'm shocked that the Institute would even approve an experiment where they try to integrate a synth into a family. Doesn't that go against everything that they believe about synths? They don't want synths to develop personhood. When synths have their own desires and start acting like people, they chalk that up to a malfunction. When a synth expresses curiosity at some terminals, she's threatened with having her mind wiped, because surely that's a result of some sort of quirk of the software. But here we find Alan Benet, the man responsible for optimizing synths, conducting an experiment where a synth lives like a wife and mother. There are a couple of troubling ramifications about this. Exactly how personal does Eve get with Alan? Now, there are very few people in the game with whom we can flirt, but one of them is Eve.
If all personal synths are as good looking as you, I should get one for myself.
Why, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. I don't know that I can be of much help with that, but the compliment has certainly made my day. I'm certainly flattered. Thank you.
But no matter what, even if we pass the charisma check, the director can't go very far with Eve. Why is this? Is it because Eve is not attracted to the director? Or is it because Eve has been programmed to only respond to Alan? Or maybe it's because Eve has a genuine love and affection for Alan Benet and she doesn't want to betray him. I think it's very telling that we even have the option to flirt with Eve to begin with. I mean, think about it. We walk into the Benet household, we find this synth named Eve, we discover that she's the Institute's first personal synth, and then the very first option Bethesda gives us is to flirt with her. This is giving us the clear impression that quote-unquote personal synths may be seen by people in the Institute as recreational appliances, for lack of a better word. Perhaps Eve responds the way she does simply because she is Alan's recreational appliance. Now, that said, the Benet household has an extremely odd living situation. If we take a look at their quarters, there are only 2 beds. If we wait until nighttime when the entire Institute goes to sleep, Liam Benet lies down and he goes to sleep. But Alan does not, and Eve does not. There is only 1 bed left in their room, and it's a single bed. It can fit only 1 person. Now, I waited many different days, tried doing this on different characters at different times, and Alan Benet never went to sleep. So we don't know who this second bed belongs to. Is this Eve's bed, or is this Alan's bed? And why is there no 3rd bed? Is not Eve part of this family? Now, maybe there's no 3rd bed because synths don't sleep. However, this can't be true. We learned from Alan Benet himself that he observed rapid eye movement in sleeping synths, which caused him to hypothesize that they could dream. So synths do sleep. And of course, it makes perfect sense that they would sleep, because if they couldn't sleep, it would blow their cover in the wasteland. You kill Roger Warwick, you replace him with a synth, but the game ends pretty quickly when his wife wakes up in the middle of the night to see him sitting up in bed, unable to sleep, right? So humans and synths sleep, but where is Eve's bed? And why doesn't Alan ever sleep? Is it a glitch? Well, I don't think so. I went to every single room in the entire Institute and observed every single human being. They all go to sleep at bedtime. And there are even double beds in the Institute, where married couples sleep together. But there's not in the Benet household. There's no 3rd bed, there's no double bed, neither Eve nor Alan go to sleep. I think Bethesda intentionally chose not to have Alan or Eve go to sleep in their rooms simply so that they wouldn't have to answer the question about whether or not they sleep together. Because that's what everyone wants to know, right? If she is the Institute's first personal synth, how personal does she get? Is she basically the Fisto of the Institute? Is Alan conducting this experiment just because his wife is dead and he might be lonely? Bethesda didn't even want to come close to answering this question for us, so they made sure that neither Eve nor Alan go to bed. Now, there are two ways we can look upon this personal synth issue, and both of them are pretty disturbing. On one hand, let's pretend that Eve is not a person, she's an appliance, like a refrigerator, a toaster, a Nuka-Cola machine. If that's the case, then Alan Benet is conducting an experiment trying to see how close to a real wife and mother a household appliance will get when thrown into those circumstances. Yes, it is an interesting experiment, but what about Liam? Liam's mother is gone, and then suddenly Eve walks into his life, trying to be his mother. Certainly from the way she talked about him, we get the impression that that's how she sees him, as a surrogate son. This is confirmed as we continue to investigate the Institute to find the person responsible for helping Synths escape. After examining a terminal inside the Benet quarters, we learned that someone in the household used this terminal to access an SRB terminal. Going to the SRB, we find that that terminal entry was accessed and destroyed by a nearby maintenance terminal. And when we go into a nearby maintenance closet to find this terminal, we find none other than Eve. And as we approach, she draws her weapon.
Don't come any closer. I'm sorry that you had to find me here.
Of course. It's the Synth who's been helping Synths.
Me? No, I'm just helping. Justin was closing in and figuring things out. I offered to help so he wouldn't get caught.
Put that gun away, now.
I want to, but I can't. You know too much. If I let you go, they'll find out everything, and they'll take him away.
What do you mean, him? Who are you talking about?
I know Liam isn't really my son, but I've come to love him as if he were. He's so smart and so kind-hearted. All he wants is for Synths to have a better life, to be free. I'm sorry. You seem like a good person, but I can't let you tell Justin that Liam is helping the Synths.
So it was Liam, not Alan. At this point, we can respond in two ways. We can tell her that what Liam has done is inexcusable and he must be punished.
You'd really risk your life to protect Liam.
Risk my life? I would give my life, and if necessary, take someone else's. I'm sorry, but I have no choice.
In which case we are forced to kill her. Or we can pass a very hard charisma check to tell her that we will keep her secret safe.
I promise not to tell Justin. I'll keep your secret.
I believe you. I can see that you understand a parent's desire to protect a child. I'm sorry I had to threaten you. I guess I just felt cornered and panicked a little bit. I'm glad you're someone we can trust.
Either way, we then go track down Liam Benet.
You're the one helping Synths escape. Why?
So you figured it out. Nice work. Nobody else down here could. I'm not surprised it took someone from outside. At first, I just wanted to see if I could get away with it. It was a challenge, you know? But then I realized the Synths are really just like us, except without any freedom. I decided to help the ones that wanted to escape, so they can have a better life.
A better life? It's a living hell up there.
I'm not forcing them to leave. I'm just, giving them an opportunity. If they take it, they have to face the same risks as everyone else on the surface. But at least they'll be free. Look.
If we ended up having to kill Eve, we can tell him so.
You should know that Eve is dead. She died trying to protect you.
Oh no. No! I'm so sorry. I had no idea she'd grown that attached. Or cared that much. I swear I didn't mean for that to happen. She was a good person, I promise. She really seemed to love us. Look.
Or if we chose to keep her alive, we can let him know.
Eve was going to kill me to protect your secret.
What? I didn't think she cared that much about us. Not enough to hurt someone. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I didn't mean for that to happen, I swear. Look.
The quest then resolves in one of two ways. We can work with Liam to frame Justin Ayo, in which case he gets removed as the acting director of the SRB and replaced with Alana Secord. Liam argues that this is better for the Institute as a whole because she's more level-headed and she doesn't try to use her department to bully the other departments. Or we can turn Liam in to Justin.
It's not Alan Benet that's helping the Synths. It's his son, Liam.
The boy? I wouldn't have thought him capable of such a thing.
What's gonna happen to him?
We will teach him a memorable lesson about the price of interfering in our operations. Well, you tracked down the culprit and plugged the leak. Congratulations are in order. I admit, I didn't think you could pull it off.
This better be the last time you screw up.
Yes, well, I'll be taking steps to make sure this never happens again.
If we choose this option, he gets permanently exiled from the Institute. And if we ended up killing Eve to get this information, then we have robbed poor Alan Benet of every member of his family. And every day after work, he walks a lonely walk up to his room, where he spends the evening alone. So Liam is responsible for helping synths to escape. He may have made this decision after seeing Eve be so motherly towards him in his day-to-day life. Wouldn't that be confusing for poor Liam? Liam is a young man. He's not a boy, but he's certainly a young man. How is Liam supposed to feel when a synth, whom everyone in the Institute has been telling him is just a robot, just an appliance his entire life, suddenly wants to become his mother? We get the conflicting emotions that we see in Liam, which have led to him contacting the outside. Really, aside from the sole survivor, Eve may be responsible for impacting the fate of the Institute more than anyone else. Without Eve, Liam may have never contacted the railroad. Without Eve, Patriot may never have existed. Without Eve, synths may never have escaped. This experiment of Alan Benet's might have had dire consequences for the Institute. And then there's the whole romantic side of things. What does it say about Alan Benet if he had created Eve to gratify him physically as his new companion? I think the name of Eve is telling enough. Alan Benet is in charge of the synths. Alan Benet made Eve and named Eve, and he chose the name Eve. Does that make Alan Benet Adam? Does he see Eve as the mother of a new intelligent species? Or maybe Bethesda named her Eve to tell us that she is instrumental to the Institute's fall. What fruit is it that she tempts Alan with? And from which tree did she take it? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or the tree of the knowledge that synths have souls? The idea that Alan used his role in the robotics team to create his own personal synth is a bit disturbing. And it becomes much more disturbing if we believe that synths are people. Because if that's the case, then when Eve tells us that she knows that she's never going to be a mother to Liam or a wife to Alan, she's betraying the fact that she really wishes she could be. If she does have a soul, if she is a real person despite being a synth, then this poor woman is living in this household, acting like a stepmother, acting like a second wife, pining to be respected as a wife and mother. But she never will be because she's just a machine. Everyone around her just treats her like an appliance. Things get more disturbing if we believe that Alan uses her for his own physical needs. Because if that's the case, then we have an enslaved woman who is told to be a companion in a household where she will never have equal status with other human women, and night after night, she serves the man who named her. There is no free will here. Yes, Eve says that she's the most fortunate synth in the Institute, and I believe she really does care for Alan and Liam. But she also doesn't have a choice. If at any time she expressed frustration with her situation, resentment for being used, she could very well have her memory wiped. This threat is thrown around all the time at the Institute. Synths who do not behave are threatened with essentially death, with having their entire personalities deleted. Even if Eve did have problems with her lot in life, there is no way she could tell Alan this. There is no way she could express her dissatisfaction. So let's say this experiment is a success. What does Alan hope to achieve? A personal synth for everyone? Hey there, folks. Join the Institute, help science, and we'll give you each your own personal synth. They look like humans, but don't worry, they're not, so you can treat them any way you want. And if at any time they talk back, don't worry, bring them back to the shop and we'll give them a reboot. In no time at all, you'll get your synth back with a brand new personality. So stop by the robotics department today. I have to admit that this entire story disturbs me quite a bit, but then again, I'm biased. I've expressed how much I dislike the Institute on many occasions, and I've produced a couple of videos on the topic, so I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Am I blowing things out of proportion? Did I overlook something? Do you believe that Eve is just an appliance, so it really doesn't matter? Or do you believe that Eve is a person, and if so, how do you respond to this situation? What do you think of her lot in life? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I publish a new video 6 days a week on a wide range of Fallout topics spanning all of the games. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss my next video, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. And if you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.